I'm also a psych major with a minor in human rights. I played at SG since I was 15, and I was on 15 Elite, 16 Elite, and then 17 Roche, and then 18 Roche with Serena and Ellis.
Cool. Well, I'm glad to have all you three back here. Like, it's like I gotta be honest with you. I always envisioned us getting back together finally just like this. Like I always thought that it was this, I just saw this, I thought it was gonna be just like this. But I think it's a super cool opportunity for all the kids at SG to kind of learn about who you guys are. I think all three of you are, super special players in terms of who I've had in the past, no doubt about it. So it's really cool they get this opportunity to learn from you guys. So out of curiosity too, just to know, like what were your, and then Serena, you can answer this too, because all three of you are very, very different, but what were your recruiting processes like?
Ellis, do you want to take it?
Sure. Mine, I wasn't really sure that I wanted to play college volleyball until like end of my sophomore year. So I wasn't really like serious about reaching out like my freshman year. I started getting emails after sophomore year JOs. And I was always looking for like high academic more so than like high like intensity like D1 volleyball program. So I was always looking to go to like high academic school with a volleyball program. Can
I ask a question?
Yes.
How scared were you the first time just sending your first email? And be honest.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't really remember.
Oh, well,
but
that's 100% honest.
I'm sure I was a little bit nervous. Yeah, because I was sending out like my video link or whatever. So I mean, there's always a little bit of nervousness knowing when someone's going to be like looking at you and rating you, and like, but that's the process. Other than that, I committed my junior year spring, and I had only visited the school I committed to like for less than 24 hours before I did that. So yeah.
Cool. How do you feel? I think it worked. Are you liking it? Like, how's Yale for you?
I'm really, really thankful that I made that decision, and I'm really, really happy with everything that volleyball and the school and the people there have given me. It's full of very awesome opportunities, and I'm really just grateful to be in the position to both play volleyball and get an amazing education.
Cool. Is there anything, just out of curiosity, is there anything at Yale that's like what, because you said you didn't spend that much time there, like what are the things was there anything that you expected that you were like, oh, well, I thought it was going to be like this, and it ended up being different, or was there anything like that going on?
Well, I kind of visited initially, like I first visited Yale kind of not really thinking that it'd be the one that I'd choose, because I was coming from the school that I had visited 3 times, and I was like, oh yeah, this will be the school for me. So when I got to Yale, I was kind of like, oh, like this will be fun just to see it, like I guess it'll be something new to look at. But once I got there, I was like really impressed with the people and the campus, and I just got really different. For me, it was more the people that made more of a difference between the schools I was committing or considering. So that was like the most outstanding difference for me. And even I stay there for less than 24 hours, and the people were like fun enough to have that much of an impact on me to get me to commit there. So
interesting. Good point.
All right. And Makana, what was your recruiting process like, or how did you like feel about Cal before you committed, and how has that opinion like changed?
So my recruiting process was kind of crazy. I decided I wanted to play volleyball in college when I was in my sophomore year of high school, and I got this like huge like rush of motivation. I sent out maybe like over 200 emails. Like I would email and email and email and email and email, like every single D1 school. My heart was set on D1 like from the beginning, which I'll loop back around to that at the end. But I had just like emailed every school, and at that point in my career, I wasn't getting a lot of attention from schools. So I was just kind of doing the best I could to make people notice me, tell them when I was playing, send film out. But nothing really happened for the next couple years. And then into my junior year, I started feeling like this intense pressure to find somewhere to go to school. Like it was do or die. It was like my only time I could commit, or everything would go wrong, just because all of my teammates at the time were committed too. So I started to really kind of stress over it, which I don't think had the best impact on like my playing style. And it became more of a job than something I love to do. But things were continued to be slow my junior year. And then I kind of fell in love with the sport again and ended up getting recruited by a school that I liked my first semester of my senior year. I had done a few visits that semester to some other schools, and I was like, well, I really want to play in college. I kind of, through my junior year, I was kind of deciding if I wanted to do it or not still, because I kind of got overwhelmed with the whole process. So I looked at some just regular academic, no sport schools, but I kind of stuck in there, and I ended up committing to a school in December of my senior year. And I was happy, I was fine. I remember the phone call after I went there. I was like, doing a visit to a college, like you get this rush because I could like see myself anywhere. And I was just so excited to be in college, like especially as a senior. I just wanted to graduate. I wanted to be on my own already. And I remember being on the phone with Brian and being like, yeah, I'm just going to commit. Like, it's going to be awesome. Like, this is perfect. It's the best. And he was like, all right, I want you to really think about it. And I'll always remember that moment because I ended up committing, but it felt like I did it because I had to versus I wanted to. So I kind of stuck with everything still, and just kept playing volleyball and just kind of played free because, you know, it was like my last year playing club. And then I ended up getting noticed by Cal April of my senior year, which was super late. By this time, again, like everyone I knew, like had not only committed, they had signed. So I felt pretty like disoriented when my dream school, because Cal had always been my number one school, that I was told like a few times by different people, like, you know, the level you're at, like you're just never going to play in the Pac-12, or that's kind of just too hard of a school for you to play at, or a player like you won't really go there. So I really didn't believe in myself until like they started looking at me, and I kind of realized that I was capable of playing at that institution. So it was like this 1 week long whirlwind where I flew up to Cal like the night that they contacted me because a dead week was about to start. And I visited, I met none of the girls, which is something I do regret because I think you should meet the girls you're going to play with on a visit. But I went and I just fell in love with campus, and I knew if like volleyball didn't work out, like I'd love going to school there, and kind of took a leap of faith and committed.
All right. And what was it like playing for someone you were already coached by? Because I know Amir coached us at SG, and I guess you weren't sick of him like the rest of us. So what's that like playing for him in college?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Amir used to coach club here at SG. He coached us for our 17s year and a little bit for our 18s while he was playing men's volleyball at Long Beach State. And it's very cool to see. He ended up getting a job at Cal right before I committed, which was just like this like serendipitous thing, but it's worked out so well having someone that I've kind of like watched him grow as a coach, and he's watched me grow as a player, which has been this really cool experience. And it's always nice to have someone to, you know, talk about SG life with. We still bring up inside jokes from like the 4-minute mile, you know, or other things like that. We've got a lot of shared humor, which is nice, but it's really cool to have that dynamic kind of grow over time. Yeah.
Awesome. And Ellis, how do you like your coaches? Or did you feel like you maybe didn't know them as well when you committed, and now that you've been there for 2 years, you know them a lot more?
I mean, like every coach is going to be somewhat different during the recruiting process than when you finally get there and you're their player. So I kind of like just figured that would be the case anyways. But I think the hardest part, like transitioning from being recruited by them to like playing for them, was just like a difference in like philosophy and like just like playing styles and what they coached. Because my last 2 years with Brian, you were like trying a bunch of new stuff. We were running different routes and trying fast tempos and whatnot. And going to college, like you completely start over, like from ground zero. Whatever the coaches want to teach you, they will. And like that kind of sucks sometimes, this because it's another learning curve on top of like already just going to college and like readjusting your whole life, and now you're on your own and whatever. But it's different. It'll always be a little bit different. So that was one thing that kind of was tricky for me, like learning like how to hit on a higher set, or just like different passing techniques. But I would say that my coaches weren't like drastically different in the recruiting process than they were in actual like coaching style. But yeah.
Nice. And you talked about like there being a little bit of a learning curve going from club to college. Can you explain a little bit more what that was like? Like, for example, some of the new stuff that your coaches wanted you to implement into your game.
Yeah, well, so I was like my coaches would tell me, yeah, like while I was being recruited, they were like, yeah, like we want to run a fast offense. We'll like get you the ball faster or whatever. And I was like, of course, like, yes, that sounds good. But once we got there, it was maybe my setters and my coach, or just not like being comfortable with the whole like really fast offense like right off the bat. So that definitely took a while because the sets are still pretty high, which was just not my thing that I had been used to for the last many years. So that was a bit of a struggle for me, but also just like learning to hit around a college block is different than learning to hit around a club block for me. And of course with a higher set, like it's going to be extra difficult if I can't figure out my timing. But other than that, like that was probably the biggest difference in like volleyball philosophy that I had to get used to.
All right. And Makana, did you see any huge differences between the way you had to play as a club player and the way you had to play in college?
I think it's definitely different. The experience of playing club in college, they're just so separate, like everything about them. Because think about like club, you're with your team like 2-3 times a week, and then you have like a few tournaments where you're with each other for like 3 or 4 days. And college, you're living with the same 20 people, and you're traveling with the same 20 people, and you eat breakfast with the same 20 people, and then you shower with the same 18 people. Coaches aren't included in that one. But you're with them all the time. Sorry. You're with them all the time. So that, I think the biggest adjustment for me wasn't fundamentals or technique. It was the social aspect, because I look back on club and like I miss club. I would do anything for like one more year, like to play that last 18s game, which was 2 years ago on the day, but do that again. Like it's just unbeatable. But college is just so different because you're like living with.
I have to hear more about that. I'm sorry. I want to stop. I want to hear more about that. Like I just want to hear why. I just haven't heard that. Tell me, like, why did you want to go back? Like, what made it that way?
I just think club, like, there's like, being completely honest, like, I think college volleyball gets like a lot of praise because like you're working your whole life, you're playing club since you're like 12, or like doing all these things to prepare for the next level. You always hear like next level. But I think club gives you this opportunity to really just enjoy playing because you're with your friends, your mom's in the stand, you feel like there's not really that much pressure. And especially for me, the only times I didn't enjoy playing volleyball during club was when I put pressure on myself to be recruited. And I think while you're playing, like, at least for me in club, it was just like I was competing against myself. When in college, at the beginning at least, I don't know, Ellis or Serena, if you kind of felt this change too, where all of a sudden it would like meant something more. There was all this like more pressure on it, or you're competing against this girl now and like for this name in the title, and it's like more levels and more pressure. And like I'm just recently trying to kind of find like the whole point of why I play is just because like I love it and I want to get better as an individual. And I think when you get into this like college arena, you can kind of get lost within like the first couple years sometimes of like it might mean anything more.
I also have something to say about that. As far as like the difference between club and like what makes you want to go back to club sometimes, I think that there's like a certain like grindiness to club because it's way like less out of your control. Like the way the tournaments are set up, the way who you play is set up. Like in college volleyball, you are in a conference and you play those same like 10 teams, with the exception of like preseason or postseason. Like you know who you're gonna play, like you know what they have to bring to the table, and like you get to prepare for that. But in club, like it's every day is a new draw, like depends on who wins what, if you play like at what time. It's just very much more spontaneous, and you just got to be on your A game, I think, a lot more, which is fun if you have that like competitive kick to you. So that's one thing that I miss from club, is just like having to be on my A game. I mean, not that I'm trying to not be on my A game in college, but it's definitely just more random and spontaneous and a spur of the moment in club, I think.
Yeah, and I think in college too, it kind of becomes a job almost, because at least for us, like we practice for like 4.5 hours a day, and then you come in for film, and then you do all this other stuff like outside of practice that's for volleyball, and like your identity on campus. Like I wear a backpack that says like Cal Women's Volleyball, and like people know you as such, and it's kind of hard. Like I've like talked to a lot of my teammates about this. Like some people like kind of feel lost in this like identity of like being a college volleyball player, because you spend most of your time doing this just one thing, versus in club, like you kind of were able to go to school to just go to school, and like you didn't really have an identity like pre-attached to that.
Those are super cool answers. Like I think that stuff's important. Like it's like so important to hear that. And because I don't know, for me, like one of the biggest things is just like that you feel like it's this big jump to go to college, and the truth is like some of you actually will play at like a much higher level, and some of you won't. Like it's kind of an interesting little thing that happens from the club to college. I have a question for both of you, for actually all three of you. What's something you've done here in the last month since you've been home, or like since quarantine, something that you've done that you've never done before in your entire lives?
Ooh, I want to go first. I've been meditating every single morning.
Serena, that is amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I wake up like anxious to work out. It's like I always work out, but like sometimes you just really don't want to do it. It keeps you up at night. But like every morning I start off with meditation, and it like brings me back to like a calm state, and then I can work out, and then I can eat breakfast, and I can do all my stuff. But yeah, and I love it. I do it like this.
For me, one thing, I mean, I'm not used to working out every day just because I mean, like doing an actual workout every day, like yes, we have volleyball every day at school, but working out every day has been fun, and it's giving me something to do. But besides that, I'm learning how, oh, sorry.
That would have been amazing. Like honestly, that would have been, I really wish, really nice reaction to that, but I wish that it spilled. Like I do wish that.
But other than that, I've been learning how to cook, Kind of. Yeah, which I really need some help on. So I've been trying to learn that during quarantine.
Well, what have you been cooking?
Today my mom told me how to cook chicken.
Culinary queen.
Yeah, pretty basic, but a staple, so.
Baked or pan fried or grilled?
Grilled.
Ah, marinated?
Oh, no.
Okay, on to the comment.
I kind of been like drawing lately, which I never ever do. It's not my like, if I need like an artistic outlet, it's usually not my choice, but that's what I've been doing sometimes.
Can we see your art, please? Just in case you have anyone who wants to like bid on it.
Here's a little doodle. So this is going for 150,000 on eBay right now.
That is a steal.
I know. But if anyone wants to try and guess at the meaning of this, let me know.
Does it have to do with Braille?
No.
No.
It's just a metaphor for our existence in the cosmos. And I actually understand. Don't worry about
Those
it.
cool things. I just want to remind everybody too that you can send questions in if you want. Anybody watching too, you send questions in, we'll field them, and we can get those to you. So anytime, send those forward. Just to let you guys know that's available.
Okay. Makana, we're getting a request from the chat about your middle name. Do you want to talk about that? I don't know what that has to do with anything, but go ahead.
My middle name is Dimitriades. It is a Greek name. It's my mother's maiden name. So, do you guys want my social security number? Or
Hey, I have a question. Serena, do you notice any special guests on this call? And please tell me about your experience with support staff like myself and others. That is from Virginia.
Virginia! Oh my God.
Who's Virginia, Serena?
It's our film lady / I think she does some recruiting, and I think she also does our media, and I think she also gets us food. She has like 5 people's jobs. She's amazing. Wait, what was the question she asked?
I don't think it was a question.
your experience with support staff.
About? Oh, am I talking about the support staff? Oh, in college? Okay. In club, you have 2 coaches. You have your assistant coach, someone else who maybe is there sometimes, and you have like your head coach. But in college, you have like this huge staff. Like you have one person who does film, you have a head coach, associate head coach, and you have multiple assistant and like position coaches. And I found that's something that's like a lot different. Like you're able to get feedback from so many different people from like a technical standpoint, and then like also from like you can get feedback from your setter, and it's just I'm rambling, but it's all very different, and it definitely makes the college game a lot more like I said, like technical. Like you can stat everything, and in club you're just like playing to play, and it's like, oh, she got a kill, let's set her again. But in college with that support staff, everything's a lot more like calculated.
Serena, how many hours do you think you, like, say in a day, in a normal day, just a normal every day, and just like, you know, Serena's at Penn State, so how many hours a day do you think would you say that you spend on volleyball a day?
I would say like 4 or 5,
Yeah.
because wait, volleyball or like para activities?
What was that? What'd you say? I couldn't hear you.
Volleyball or para activities?
What's the care activities? What's that?
It's like mandatory athletic related stuff. Like
Mandatory athletic related stuff.
Serena, what's your daily schedule? Like
Good question.
like how many, like what's your like morning to night? Like give us your schedule.
Okay. Wake up. This is one of the long days. Wake up, lift, breakfast, class, and then I do some homework, or I like goof around or whatever, frolic on campus, who knows. And then I have like another class, and then after my last class, I go straight to the gym, get some snacks, skip lunch because there are snacks in the gym, and get to practice like half an hour early, warm up my arm, my knees, stuff like that. Practice. Then we have like training table afterwards, and we eat that, and then we go home, and by now it's like 7:38, and then you start homework, and then I go to bed, hopefully before 10 p.m., but sometimes it's like 1 a.m., and then I wake up at 6 and do it again.
Cool. Makana, what's your schedule like?
For me, I wake up, practice starts at 8:15, practice 8:15 to like 10:15, and then we go lift, or actually it's a little bit later. It's more like 8:30, and then we get into lift around 10 or 10:45, and then we finish lifting at 11:30. At 11:30, we eat training table. And for those who don't know what training table is, some programs or some schools have enough money to give athletes a meal a day. So that was what Serena was talking about too. And then I'll go either do PT or get treatment or shower. We'll always shower, gosh. And then I'll go to like 2 to 3 classes, and I'll either I coach a club team in NorCal, like a 12s team. And if I do that, like I'll go drive out to do that, or I'll just do homework and then go to bed at like 11:30.
Did you learn anything about yourself as a player once you started coaching?
Oh my gosh, you guys. I never learned any. Like, I just need to tell everyone this, because as like a college athlete now, like you want to think like you know everything. You want to think you're sly. You want to think like, oh, the coaches don't know I'm messing around or goofing around. Or like, yeah, I'm doing really well in this drill. Like, your coaches see everything. And you think you know this, but they see way more. And like, when I was younger, I would just like think it's fun to like be not focusing at practice and think no one would see me, and like, not like to an insane degree, you guys. Like, I'm a good kid. Ask my mom. But like, there's something different where you just kind of have this humbling experience of like, wow, I was that kid once, Like, they're not focusing, they're running around, they're doing TikTok dances. That would have been me.
Ellis, what's life like? Is it a little different for you in the Ivy League over there, in terms of the practice hours, or what do you got?
Yes, for sure. Makana and Serena's schedules make it sound like way more intense than it is in the Ivy League, because we just have different hour restrictions than they do. But the daily schedule for me is we have lift at 8 a.m. That's an hour, and then my first class is at 10:30 normally. I'll have class until like 2:15ish. Usually we practice around 4 to like 4:30, or 4:30 to 6 or 6:30. And then after, we usually just get dinner together at one of the dining halls right after practice. And then after that, most of us head into the library, and we're usually in the library until like 10-ish, 10:30-ish, and then in bed by like 11:30.
This is a terrible question to ask you, but like, did you find it hard to manage like schedule, like a new schedule for the first time, where you were the only one who had to be someplace? Like, and this question's for all of you, actually.
For me, and anyone who's ever been on a team with me, they know that I like schedules, and they know that I like itineraries. So for me personally, it wasn't a very tough adjustment, like making sure I was in the right place at the right time, having my assignments in on time and whatnot. Actually, this year, they gave us, all the student athletes, these little planners. And so there's color coordinated assignments and classes and where I need to be in here. So it helps to keep me organized. Yeah.
Makana, Serena?
We got those planners too, and mine went straight in the trash. But don't worry, I'm still like, my Google Calendar is like all set up. And for us, we have to have a Google Calendar that's shared with our coaches. So everything's like super laid out. But I think in college it's a little bit different because like you have people to help you. You have way more people to help you than you could ever imagine. But they're not going to come to you, or they're not going to answer the questions that you need to like have answered without like a push. So you really have to be the one that's sending like emails or going into people's offices and just sitting there until they help you. Like it's kind of, you really have to be a driver. And like coming from someone, like I went to Westridge, which is a super small school. Go Tigers. Like everything was kind of just handed to you. Not really handed to you, but looking back on it now, like it was kind of more accessible and you knew who to go to about certain things. But there's been times where like, even though I feel on top of my schedule, I end up having to go like across campus to a building I've never been to because I'm about to become ineligible if I don't have this person sign a piece of paper, and I'm sprinting and I have 10 minutes to do it, and it just happens. So you just gotta kind of be a bit more like not self-motivated, but like you really gotta know like where to look for like certain things. It won't just come to you.
That sounds like that was a very real story that you just told.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just super good at improv, okay?
Serena, what about you with the scheduling?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Did you find it difficult when you went to college, like just for managing your own schedules and getting places on time? You have to do that. It's all your responsibility all of a sudden. And then also, actually, this is for everyone. What happens if you miss something?
Good luck.
I found that in college, it wasn't really that hard for me to like keep a schedule and like manage myself, because I had always been like a pretty like I always say like pretty organized, and I like use my calendar and everything. But at Penn State, like Makana said, like you definitely have to be like a lot more proactive getting the assistance that you need. Like, for example, you're not gonna have like your mentor or your academic advisor like reminding you that like, oh, this paper's due and it's like worth 1/3 of your grade. Like if you miss that paper, and you might fail that class and you might be ineligible. And that wasn't any of my problems, but like definitely like seeing some of my teammates, it's definitely like really easy to get off track. Like definitely missing classes is a thing that has been a problem like among student athlete communities at my school. And let me tell you, kids, just don't skip class, because you're going to miss your participation points and you're going to be so far behind, and then you're going to need to drop the class, and then you're going to only be in 12 credits, and then you go to another class, and then you're at 9 credits, and you can't be a student athlete when you're in 9 credits. That's when you lose a year of eligibility. So you don't want to do that. So yeah, just stay on top of it. From one, write down your due dates from your syllabus into your little handy dandy agenda or your calendar, and that's the best way to do things.
What's the punishment for your college teams if you miss something?
Oh my gosh.
If you accidentally don't show up or you forget, just what happens?
We have our strength and conditioning coach, his name is Cam Davis, and he works with men's hockey too, and he doesn't treat us any differently, and I wouldn't expect him to. So if you miss lift, or if you're late by a minute, literally 30 seconds, you're doing bike sprints for like 30 minutes, and it's not fun. You often throw up. And if you miss, people just don't miss practice. Like the whole time I've been there, no one's ever missed practice, or yeah. The training room is a little bit looser. It's like if you say something's bothering you but you don't show up to get treatment, it's like maybe you shouldn't play. Like you're being irresponsible, or maybe this thing really isn't hurt. But when it comes to like competitions, games, practices, you have to be there. And if you're not, you don't really know what happens if you miss a practice or a game, because no one really has.
For us, we kind of have similar things. If you're late to a lift, even just by like a minute or two, the first time it's just you doing like, I forget what it is, X amount of burpees. But if it happens again, like anyone, not necessarily the same person, but if anyone's late again, then it's the whole team doing X amount of burpees for however long. Luckily that hasn't happened because our captains tell us like we have to text in our class group chat every morning up when we wake up for lift, just to make sure that everyone's awake and taken care of. And we've only had one little mishap with missing a practice. It wasn't even practice. It was kind of worse actually. It was film on game day. We had a girl miss the scout film session, which happens like 5-ish hours before the game for us. Like we do a first one like 5 hours before the game. And it also happened to be parents weekend that weekend, and she had to sit and do the film scout where the coaches were showing the parents the film room, and they were like going over film and what they look at to the parents. So she had to sit in with that. But no one's missed practice and no one's missed games and stuff like that.
For us, since we lift right after practice, no one's really ever late to lift, which is good because our strength coach would, make us pay for that. But we've had a few girls be late to practice, but like oversleeping has happened before, and our coaches are honestly pretty forgiving. Like if it happens like once, like you will already feel like guilty enough for it and you don't really get punished more than that. But if you miss film, like you'll get a talking to. Like it's more of a one-on-one thing with our coaches, but it's more, I think our coaches get more upset when you miss things like meetings with other people that are kind of like outside our immediate bubble. If like you miss practice, obviously that's bad, but like they'll be able to talk to you themselves. But we kind of get treated the same if you miss a meeting with a nutritionist, or if you miss a meeting with like our trainer. Like they take that like really, really seriously because they value like the people that help our program and their time.
Cool.
All right, I think now's a good time to go to some of the messages from our chat. Okay, of all of your accomplishments as a player, is there a match or a tournament that stands out in your mind? Makana, I think you should start with this one.
Yes. For club, I have one for club and then one for college. So the most standout game for club or tournament was in Dallas for our 18s year when we won like the qualifier there. Oh, everyone on the screen just but that was just a really fun tournament. I just had a blast, and I don't know, I love that team. Like we all still talk a ton, and I think that's kind of when I came into my own as like a player, and I just kind of like felt confident with my role, and like that was a really like important time for me as a player. And then my favorite for college was, I think, when we played at Colorado State, and the girl that was playing above me, she wasn't having a great match, and then I just went in and played loose and we won, and it was fun.
Awesome. Miss Ellis DeJardin?
For me, in college at least, senior nights have been like super, super fun just because they're like full of tradition. And we've actually, this past year probably I remember best because we were playing our rivals and we took them to 5 at home, and then we ended up like coming up from behind and beating them, and it was just very high emotions. And it actually also allowed us to be co-Ivy champs, which was another plus. So there was just a lot of emotion going on that night, but it was really fun and it's really special, especially because like in club, yeah, you sometimes have a crowd, you have your parents, but in college you have like all your friends who have nothing better to do on a Saturday at 5 p.m. That they get to come and support you and support your friends on your team. So senior nights are pretty cool.
What other traditions does your team have that maybe people who watch your games don't know about? Like some of the behind the scenes kind of stuff.
Okay. For us, we have a dance party before every game, home or away. That dance party is crucial in hyping us up for the game, and it's really fun. Other traditions, I don't know, we just all kind of have a routine on game days. We all kind of, after our pregame meal, we'll go and get coffee at this one coffee shop, kind of like all as a team, like in our game day sweatsuits or whatever. Just kind of that kind of routine, I guess.
Makana, do you guys have any weird traditions? Or any traditions like maybe you miss from your club days?
Zumba.
Serena is asking us to mention Zumba, isn't she?
It's Serena.
Early, but you can mention it if you want, and maybe like the link of Ellis doing the Zumba on the NCAA.
That did happen.
Hey Serena, did you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite play of yours from your playing career?
Oh yeah.
Because I have a favorite play of yours.
Power Ranger, is that it?
Yes. So I'll tell the story. So Serena, her senior year, Serena had this habit. Okay, Serena was a habit where when the set wasn't right there, Serena, rather than tip the ball into the area, like area 4 to the corner, just tip it down, or just honestly throw the ball down because you're taller and jumping higher than everybody else. Serena had this habit of just taking her fist and punching the ball in the face. That was what she did. The ball came up, the set wasn't there, and she would punch it into the back corner. And I'd go up to Serena. Sure enough, the set would go bad. She'd punch it. I'd go up to Serena. I'd go, Serena, that's never going to work. Never once in your entire life are you going to be able to get a kill punching the ball in the face with that set. And then sure enough, we're at was it JO's?
Yeah.
We're at JO's, and same thing happens. Ball goes up, bad set. Serena punches the ball in the face. It just somehow, everyone's running forward. It's in the air for like 45 seconds. And then just lands in the back corner. And Serena, without thinking, you didn't even think. She turns and just goes like this. And it was the best. I immediately just sat down. I went, that's the best play I've ever seen in my entire life.
I did not say that, but.
Sorry, Serena. I had to tell that story. It's just too good.
I forgot.
There's a picture of it too, of the punch.
Oh, she sent me that picture like a year later, and it's like one of the few things I got for a picture. Like, remember this or something like that.
Oh, good time. Good time. So let's talk about teammates. Let's talk about some of the quirky things they do, some of the stuff that's unfortunate about sharing a locker room, and what it's like living with them. And yeah.
Well, I think kind of what I was saying earlier, there's a big like learning curve to like being with people in college because you're with them like all the time. Like I cannot tell you how much time you are with your teammates. If you like end up living with them too, like now you're sleeping next to them. Like it's just a lot of time with the same people, which is not something that I was used to. So I think for me, it was really important in the beginning to make friends outside of my team, which is really hard, especially being a fall sport and you kind of get there in the summer and you make friends on your team and then you're just with your team the whole time. But it's really crucial because after that 4th like road trip in a row, especially if you're not winning, like it's nice to have some other people to like go home and like see. which I think is just like really important. And it adds so much to your college experience, especially being able to be friends with like other athletes is like the best part. But you're going to meet a lot of different people in college, and something we talk about a lot at Cal is like doing your job. And at some points, like the reality of it is like you might not have a teammate you love, or you might not have a teammate you like even now, but instead of taking that energy and like going different places with it, it's kind of learning to accept like if you live that person's life, like you'd be the exact same person they are. And at some point it's just about like learning how to be the best player you can be, and the more you pay attention to like distractions, like the less efficient you'll be.
All right.
Oh, what? My turn?
I like the lighting.
Oh, sorry. It's a really, really old lamp. But one of the biggest things, Makana kind of touched on this earlier, as far as like in college, like you're kind of branded, you're student athlete. Like she said, you have your backpack. Everyone knows the backpack people are the athletes. And so one thing that's different from club in college is that your team is also like makes up a substantial part of your social sphere, at least in like, obviously Serena, your and Makana experiences are different because you guys go to way bigger schools than I do, but like for me there's 5,500 kids in my college, so like everyone kind of knows each other. But if I'm put on a team, like if I'm already integrated into that small little group, like that group goes with me and I go with them a lot of the time, whether that be in volleyball or in social like aspects or whatever, or just classes really. So that's one thing that changes. Oh, Peyton wants to say hi.
Cameo.
Hey,
Cameo.
go Bears, go Bears.
But that's definitely something that's different than in club, because you only see each other like 2 or 3 times a week, and then on the weekends for tournaments.
Okay. I think this is a good question for Makana. One of the SG Elite players wants to know what makes a good teammate.
Serena, I'm flattered you thought that was a good question for me. I'm blushing. Take that, Ellis. I'm just kidding. I think something that's been really important for me is like, again, what I was saying earlier, like the concept of doing your job and then like whatever that job is. Like, I think being a good teammate is wanting the best for the team and then being like accountable for whatever you do. Like at the end of the day, we can all only control ourselves, and like that goes to your coaches too. So maybe you're not in, and like there's probably a reason for that, but game time, it's kind of too late to be thinking about that. And I think that's kind of when a lot of like negative thought patterns catch up with us. So learning how to be present if you're not the one on the court or in practice, like being a good teammate is just like, you know, I think like there's a lot of different ways to do it. Some girls like to be loud. Some people are kind of more of a quiet leader, but like doing your job and taking care of like whatever you need to do to be the best like player that you can, so that your teammates don't have to worry about you, I think is really important. And just genuinely being excited for everyone. I think everyone has their own path of like how to cultivate that, but it's so fun to be a part of, like, that's why we all play, right? It's like, it's a team sport. So finding like your reason why, I think is really important, and being able to uplift others when you're not feeling personally uplifted, I think is a good skill.
I would definitely agree with that. And do you think maybe you'd want to go into like how being a good teammate kind of got you recruited, like when you were in club?
Yeah. So I didn't really like at SG, like I was on elite for a few years, and then my 17th year when I was on Roche, I didn't like play at all. And that's kind of when my recruiting took a big hit. And like all of that kind of drove me to like frustration with the game, like I was kind of mentioning earlier. But I think I learned at some point, like I'm really competing against myself, and it's just like whatever I put into it, like I'll get out. And then I adopted that like my 18s year, and then just really committed everything like to the sport. Like I was competing against the other right side on our team was Jamie. She plays at Harvard now. She's the best. And we were kind of competing against each other for a spot. And I remember feeling like I had no chance, and like I just kind of was like, well, whatever happens, happens. I'm going to give it my best shot. And then if it's her, awesome. If it's me, awesome. It's like not going to change anything about how I act on this team or like what type of teammate I'm going to be. So being able to like stick through that, and I think not like see our teammates as someone like we have to constantly compete against, and like you're playing against them for like playtime, or like it's this big thing, but really seeing it like this is so cheesy, but like seeing it as a team, like you want to win, and if someone else is going to make you win, then like that's who you want to be on the court, and it's your job in practice then to push them harder and make them better, and like maybe you'll take over their spot, and great, like you're wanting to get better to push your teammates but also to push yourself. And I think that's kind of what led me to like get recognized pretty late, is like I didn't give up on that end.
Makana, in all honesty, your character through that year is something that like sticks with me a lot, and you're not going to say it, but it's something I'm just like you like for what, just to let everyone know, because you're not going to say it about yourself, but like what Makana was stacked up against is her 17th year, she had played behind someone was a senior. Rachel was a senior, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't play very much on that team. I wasn't coaching that team, but you didn't play very much on that team. And then into your senior year, all of a sudden you're like, this is my year. Like, you know, I'm going to take over this opposite spot. You know, Rachel left, she went to college. You know, I'm going to do that. And in all honesty, that's what we thought was going to be the case. And then in walks the door at tryouts, which no one saw coming, was a 6'3" Canadian girl, lefty, opposite, you know? And most people, when they would see that, would have a very different, like not most people, I don't want to say that kind of stuff, but not a lot of people would have responded that year the way you did. And like the way that she actually had more opportunity as a 6'3" lefty, and you just took that spot. You worked hard, and you made it impossible for anybody else to be on that court in that spot in the end. And it just speaks a lot, volumes to your character in that situation, and how good you were through all that. So I just wanted to say that.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. The two things actually that both of these, like the two things that they won't say about themselves, or Makana is that story where she was just incredible in terms of dealing with adversity and then earning a scholarship to Cal halfway through her senior year. So it's just the perfect example to see that we all have different paths. And, you know, everyone expects, I want to be the girl that signs when they're 15, but not everybody gets to be Serena, you know? So the truth is Serena signed really, really early, and you worked for it. And I don't know, your character's great. And the same thing, the one next to her here, Ellis, was every time when she was young, everybody that would talk to her, they would say, you were too short, you were not going to play Division I, be an outside hitter in Division I. Like the amount of times of conversations that I'd heard that. And she just continued to work hard and believed in it and believed in herself. And now she's a starting D1 outside hitter at a great school. So just both those things, and for both of you, that the way you worked through that, it's just, I just wanted to make sure that was said here tonight, because it is special the way that you guys both did that. And all these girls that are watching this are lucky to hear from you.
Yeah. Well said, Brian. One more question. What kind of extracurriculars are you guys involved in, if you're involved in any? I know time is something you don't have a lot of.
Makana, you go first.
Okay. If you guys want the truth, like I'm involved in none because I don't have time to.
You have your
like,
job. Your job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess. Oh, that thing? Those 2 Zoom calls a week? What do you mean? Well, this semester I was able to squeeze in coaching. So I coach like a 12-2s team. They're awesome. It's the best. If you guys get a chance to coach like a club team at some point, please do it. it is such a rewarding experience, and it really like teaches you so much about yourself as a player, and especially as someone like that kind of struggles with the game becoming a job, especially like during college. Like it kind of reignited like how much I love volleyball and like why I play. But other than that, for me, due to our schedule, it's virtually impossible to do anything else. And then that's kind of just something I signed up for when I wanted to play Pac-12. So it's kind of just like that trade-in of realizing like I chose this and that's how much time it is. But I know you didn't ask this question, but something I really been thinking about as I've been speaking about my recruiting process has been a little bit of regret that I really limited myself to only looking at like D1 schools in California. I wish I had looked at more Division II and Division III schools. Like don't get me wrong, I'm so happy I'm at Cal and like everything worked out so perfectly. But I think there were a lot of other opportunities that truthfully I overlooked because I wanted to play D1. I wanted to play at a name brand school, which it all worked out because again, I love where I'm at, but I just urge everyone like to find the school that speaks to you. And even if that's not something that you think other people will value, or even like maybe you won't value it, but like really spend some time, because those 4 years of your life, like you can't get back. And like you want to be in the place that's going to be like the best for you. But extracurriculars, no, I'm not doing any.
Makana, that was such a good answer.
Thank you.
Such a good answer, just to let you know.
Thank you.
It was so good, I think we maybe should end.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that's how good I felt about that. Do you guys want to play a quick game though to end? No? Okay, no.
Yeah, well, I'll play anything.
You're supposed to say yes. Like if you're telling you you're a master at improv, no matter what I say, you're supposed to say yes. That's the whole
I
thing.
said I'll do anything.
Rule number one of
Ryan
improv: always
So
say
Makana,
yes.
we'll start with you. I'm going to give you two things. You have to answer one of them really quick. So I'm going to give you two subjects. You just have to answer. So just for like a thing, like if I say like beach or mountains, then you would say beach or mountains. Got it?
Easy money.
Okay, we're going to do 5 things. Ready? Tiger King, and you got to be fast.
Oh God.
Tiger King or Ozark?
Tiger King.
Comedy or drama?
Comedy.
Reese's or Snickers?
Reese's.
That's the right choice, just to let you know.
Thank you.
Crocs or Skechers?
Crocs.
Wrong choice. Big kill or big block?
Repeat.
Big kill or big block?
Big block.
Yeah, every time, right? Right.
Just really getting.
Yeah. All right, Ellis, ready?
Yeah.
Country or jazz?
Jazz.
Milk chocolate or dark chocolate?
Milk chocolate.
Tiki-talkie or snappy chat?
Snappy chat.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
Let's see. Last one. Wait in line or cut in line?
Wait in line.
That's probably the right answer. Serena, I prepared one for you too. You ready?
Okay.
You ready, Serena? This is big. I want you to answer this super fast. Ready? Gouda or Munster?
No flinch. No flinch. Gouda.
Gouda. Brie or Blue?
Brie.
Swiss or Provolone?
Provolone.
Cheddar or American?
Cheddar.
Monster. Why are you getting offended? I'm literally just reading cheese. You're getting offended by me reading cheeses off. Mozzarella or Parmesan?
Parmesan.
Okay, good. Serena, one thing I remember about Serena loves cheese more than anybody I've ever met in my entire
It's
life.
actually evolving. It's not like that anymore.
Really? It's over? I'm disappointed. Has it changed? Tell me about it.
I just don't feel cheese anymore like that. And I'm not like crazy about peanut butter anymore either. College does that. More of like a candles person now. Like
It's called character development, Brian.
Yeah,
No.
You've changed, and I apologize for not recognizing it.
Yeah. Well, you changed too. You have a beard, and I don't say anything about that. So.
Whoa! I love this is actually hot fire. All right. Well, that's good. I'm good.
All right.
Thank you guys for doing this.
Let's say one last thing. Like speaking on behalf of like Ellis and Serena and I, we all had such a great experience at SG, like, and we all like still really care about the club a lot. So if you guys have any questions about anything, I know we were able to answer some questions on this, but not all. Like, DM us on Instagram. Like, get our phone number from. Don't shake your head like that, Jazz. Don't look at me. So sensitive. But like, feel free to hit us up. Like, especially if you're thinking about going to college or if you're a senior and like you have questions, because we've been through it. So
For sure.
If you're
Thanks,
in
everybody.
you say you're from SG Elite because I just filter a lot of them.
she's famous.
Well, see you guys later.
All right, bye everyone.
Woo!
Hey, Coach.
Go Bears.
Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm.